Your eyes are like doing Jillian Michaels. I'm getting heated right now. Alright, so today it is April Raisin Rejects. I literally just had to check my phone to see what month it is. This is where I talk about products that I liked this month, that I didn't like this month. This is actually from the past 2 months. I like doing Raisin Rejects every couple months because I feel like a month just flies by, and the products that I include in these videos are ones that I really have tested. There's usually nothing in these videos that I've only been using a few times. I feel like that just, I don't know, that's like my pet peeve. These are ones that I really have worn, tested, that I love, that I 100% recommend. So if you're excited for this video and you want Raisin Rejects to continue, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're new here, you can join the Bayrito family and subscribe. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. All right, have everything in a bin here. Where to start, where to start? I'm actually wearing, I think I'm wearing all of these products, the makeup ones I'm gonna talk about. Let's just start out with foundation, shall we? As you guys know, 15 Days of Foundation recently wrapped up. I have a whole video on my top foundations from that series. None of those foundations are in this video because, like I said, especially with foundation, if a foundation makes it into this video, like a Raisin Rejects, it has been one that I've been using for a long time that I totally recommend, and I feel like I'm not quite there with those foundations yet. Like, they'll probably be in future Raisin Rejects, but this foundation I've been testing for since it came out, so a couple months now. This is the NARS Ultra Radiant Longwear Foundation. I have the shade Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc is a pretty good shade match for me. This foundation has totally grown on me. It is full coverage. I love the coverage of this foundation. It feels pretty light, like pretty lightweight, but it's full coverage and it gives you this beautiful radiant satin matte finish. It looks matte, but it also looks like skin because it has that radiance to it. This one I love on its own. I love mixed in with other foundations. I'm wearing this today mixed in with the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth, not the matte and poreless. Dewy and Smooth version is the way to go if you have dry skin. And that's pretty rare for me where I don't feel like I have to mix foundation either because of the shade or the formula or the coverage or something. I do like this one on its own. My only downside with this one is that as it wears, it can look a tiny bit heavy throughout the day, which is why I do like mixing in just a tiny bit of something a little bit more smoothing, like the CYO Life Proof or this guy, just to really take it to the next level. But again, this is beautiful on its own too. Next product is also one that I tried out a long time ago, first when it came out, and it just has been grown on me this past month. I've used this a shit ton. This is the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Highlighter, Girl Next Door and Chic Freak. It looks in the pan like this would be a blush shade on my skin tone, but I have it on today. I go in with this shade right here. This one is too dark and it's a little bit too shimmery for me, but this shade right here for what I look for in a face highlight, which is subtle in texture, like it's not going to emphasize my pores right there, and it just gives me this glowy, beautiful, light, peachy, a little bit of like champagne in there kind of glow. This shade I think is beautiful for spring. I actually have this shade right here on my inner corner today. So as you can see, it's kind of like a peachy pink kind of shade, so that is too much for my skin tone. Wow, this shade actually matches my shirt like perfectly. Shout out to TJ Maxx, got this Puma shirt on clearance for 12 bucks. Hell yeah, love a good deal. Another product that you guys saw 50,000 times during 15 Days of Foundation videos, the Maybelline Vivid Hot Lacquer in the shade Tease. I love the shade of this. I'm wearing it right now. This is like my perfect light nude where it's not too cool, it's not too warm. I have a few things on right now. Right now I'm wearing the Maybelline Purely Nude in 110 liner. Then I have Sephora liquid lipstick in 33, and then I topped it off with this. We got a lot on the lips right now. But this is pigmented enough to the point where you could totally just wear this on its own. I just like how it can lighten any lipstick I have on, give me that perfect nude tint. I love the applicator. It has that nice like triangle kind of pointed applicator to it, and it just smooths on. It feels very buttery. The only thing I don't like about this is that it totally transfers to your teeth. Like, I've already had to blot my teeth a few times, but I'll just go with a tissue and just, you know, stick it in and blot. This one feels very different depending on what you have underneath it and what you put it on top of. That was the same thing. Like right now on top of that Sephora liquid lipstick, it feels a lot more sticky than it does if you just have this on. If you just have this on, it does feel very creamy and kind of buttery. Shade is really what sells me on this. I feel like this is like the lip gloss shade I've been looking for my whole life. A lot of these products you guys have already heard me talk about a shit ton, but that's kind of the point of this video, why they're in here. But this is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Gel in Deep Brown. Let me wait for this siren to go by. This is what I have on my eyebrows right now. I love the shade of this. This is like the perfect dark brown shade in my opinion. It's not too red, it's not too dark, it's not too light. Long story short, the formula of this rocks. The packaging and the whole concept does not. This should not be in a brow gel kind of applicator. I think what they should have done is put it in kind of a squeeze tube packaging like the Makeup Revolution brow product or the NYX one, where you just squeeze it out and then you dip your brush in. The best way to apply this is to take this out and to just go in straight with your angled eyebrow brush and just get some of that on there, and then go in and do your brows like you normally would with like a dip brow kind of product. That's the best way to apply this. If you go in straight with this applicator, you're gonna have so much product on your brows. It's gonna be way too intense. It's gonna be really hard to work with. Just not the right packaging for this formula, but the actual formula is amazeballs. It lasts all day. It literally will stay on if you don't wash your face with like soap or an oil or something. Like if you're going swimming or it's raining or something and you're worried about your brows like sliding off, this stays on. It's supposed to be waterproof for 2 days. I obviously have not tested that for 2 days, but I have tested it when I first used this in the shower and I didn't put any kind of my soaps or oils or anything on, and it stayed on throughout the shower. So I would say this is waterproof, so this will be a great one for the summer. Next up is this First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream Intense Hydration. I have used so much of this, about a third of this since I got it. I haven't used this on my face because I'm just too stuck in my way with my current skincare routine that has been working really well for me. So I haven't tried this on my face yet, but what I love this for is eczema on my body. I got eczema from Accutane and it kind of goes off and on, and I swear by this thing. A ton of you guys actually recommended this in the comments of a certain video. Can't remember which one it was. I think I was talking about eczema on my hands, and there were like literally 50 comments about this product for eczema. You guys were spot on because this thing works for eczema. I put it on my chest, my arms, the back of my hands, and if I have eczema at night and I put this on in the morning, it is gone. If you have really sensitive skin and you haven't found something that helps with your eczema and you don't really want to use like a steroid cream or something, I opted out of that because I just felt like there's probably some kind of lotion or something I could use, and I'm really happy I did because this is amazing for eczema. The only thing I do not like about this is the scent. It smells so bad to me. It smells like a wet bathing suit, like exactly like a wet bathing suit that's been like sitting in a plastic bag for like 2 days. The consistency is actually pretty lightweight. It doesn't feel quite like a gel moisturizer, but it's definitely not like a thick moisturizer. So it's good for the body for that reason. It's not like a thick body butter or anything, and it absorbs into your skin really nicely. I would not use this during the day because I don't want to smell like wet clothes. I feel like one of my most asked questions is about bronzers for pale skin, and let me know if you guys would want to see a whole video on my top bronzer recommendations. I do have one about contour shades and it goes into like a few bronzers in that video too, but maybe I'll do kind of an updated one and solely just bronzer products. I kind of use bronzers and contour interchangeably just depending on what I'm going for that day. Today I don't have on any kind of contour product. I'm just wearing this bronzer, which I'm going to talk about, which is actually not technically a bronzer. This is a face powder, a powder foundation. This is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Sateen 05. So this is a powder foundation, but the shade of this is perfect for a super natural bronzer if you have very fair skin. Just adds a little bit of life and color to your skin. I have a tiny bit on my temples too, but still looks really, really natural. It doesn't look too orangey. I have on kind of a peachier blush right now, which we'll talk about, so you might be like seeing some of that. But as far as the actual bronzer tone, it is not too warm, not too cool. It's just like a fair kind of neutral tone. If your skin tone is any darker than mine, it probably won't show up enough as a bronzer, but if you're around my skin tone or lighter, then I think this could be a beautiful bronzer shade for you. Sometimes with fair skin, you just got to make it work. Like I use certain eyebrow products for my contour shades and then certain face powders for bronzers because most brands don't make bronzers fair enough or the right tone for fair skin. So sometimes you just got to kind of hack the system, you know what I'm saying? I also like the Maybelline Fit Me. This isn't a favorite in this video, but just to show you kind of a shade comparison here, this is the Maybelline Fit Me powder in 310, which I'm pretty sure I talked about in that contour video. And then here's the Bare Minerals one, so you can see side by side. So this one's a little bit more neutral. This one's a tiny bit more warm. All right, this little guy is the cutest face mask ever. This is the Nug Face Mask Soothing. It says it has shea butter and chamomile extract. If you have dry skin, you need this. I got about 4 uses out of this little pod thing, so you actually get a decent amount in here. It's way too much to just do one time with. You could at least get 2 or 3 uses out of this, but this really plumped my skin, moisturized it. I was going through a phase a few weeks ago where I was getting some major like dry patches down here, and this you can see a difference after you wash it off. I feel like it's very moisturizing and it is kind of soothing on the skin. I've gone through a couple of these, so I've used this about 8 times now since I got about 4 uses out of each one, and I'm definitely going to be repurchasing these because I feel like my skin just really liked it. Probably saw this coming. So I recently did kind of a full face look using all of my current favorite drugstore makeup, so I'll link that video in the eye and down below. But in that video I used the Milani new eyeshadow palettes. Try not to blind you guys. This is Bold Obsessions and then Most Love Mattes. You can get these for 20 bucks on Milani's website, but if you get them in store at Walmart, you can get them for $15, I guess. These palettes are gorgeous. Like I said in that video, definitely one of my favorite drugstore eyeshadow palettes that has ever launched. Both the Most Love Mattes and the Bold Obsessions palette, they're pigmented, they're soft, they blend out. I have it on my eyes right now. I like that you can get kind of a cool toned look with this too, using some of these more purple tone shades. Then I have on this kind of taupe gray shimmery shade right there, and then I put on the Stila glitter in Diamond Dust over top. That's all of the kind of silvery glitter you're seeing. But I just love how my eyeshadow turns out every time I use these palettes. Everything about these, from the packaging, they look like Tarte palettes, to the formula, to how heavy it is, just super nice quality. I think it's gonna be hard for someone to top these, especially for 15 bucks. These are better than a lot of high-end palettes I've tried, and a few high-end palettes that are in the rejects part of this video. While we're on the eye subject, 2 pairs of lashes that you guys have seen me talk about again 50,000 times recently is the Kiss Lash Couture Foam Ink Collection in Gala. I have these on my eyes right now. Beautiful drugstore lashes if you want really voluminous, really intense, but still kind of separated a little bit and wispy. I just love the way these make my eyes look. I feel like they just take any kind of look to the next level. The thing I love about these lashes is that the band is actually not very thick at all for how many lashes, how many hairs are in here. I don't know how they did it, because usually if you have a pair of lashes like this, the base is a little bit thicker, and the band on these are very comfortable. They don't feel too heavy. They're not like the Pure or the Eyelure bands, which I don't mind. Those are some of my favorite lashes, but these definitely feel a lot more lightweight, even though they are super dramatic and super voluminous. So if you're not someone who likes the Eyelure bands, you might like these ones better. Another one, which you guys saw in the Wet n Wild Cushion Foundation video, and definitely a few other videos during 15 Days of Foundation, was the Eyelure Accents 005. So these are just kind of side accent lashes. These give you that really pretty kind of natural cat eye, to the point where you could wear these just with a little bit of liner and it just really makes your eyes kind of pop. It just makes your eyes look bigger and more open, and it just looks really flattering. And the bands on these are thinner than the usual Eyelure ones, so they don't have too thick of a lash band. I do trim them down a little bit, but I just find myself reaching for these a lot if I'm doing a look where I don't want a super dramatic lash like this one. So this next one is a surprise to me, because Sinful Colors nail polish in the past for me has been very, very cheap. It kind of flakes off. It chips really easy. So I was not expecting to like this as much as I do. This is the Sinful Colors Quick Dry Professional Top Coat. This is a bomb top coat, you guys. So I had shellac on my nails for forever, like I think the last year, up until the Europe trip in, when did I go to Europe? In January. So since January, I've just been painting my own nails. I haven't gotten back and gotten shellac, and I've just been having fun switching it up and putting different colors on, especially in the spring. For years, I used the Sally Hansen, I want to say it's called the Quick Dry Top Coat. It's in that like silver metallic bottle. That's the top coat I've been using for forever, and I was just finding that my nail polish was chipping so quickly, like within a couple days. It wasn't staying on, it wasn't drying down super quickly. So I was on the hunt for a new top coat, and this, for a few bucks, is amazing. This makes my nails dry super quick. I don't have to worry about messing them up right after I painted them. I did these this morning, and literally after about 10 minutes after I applied this, my nails were totally fine to do my normal things. It makes my nails super shiny. I feel like they chip a lot slower now. My nail polish just lasts longer, and it dries super quickly. So all around, definitely feeling this top coat. Next up is the blush I have on right now. This is the Milani Baked Powder Blush in the shade Rosa Romantica. I don't know why I'm totally blanking of the name of the super popular Milani blush. That's that like peachy shade that everyone loves. Yeah, I want to say it's Luminoso. Milani Luminoso? That sounds right. You know what I'm talking about. There's this one blush shade by Milani that a lot of people love, and it's always looked way orangey on my skin tone, but this shade looks so beautiful. If you like a glowy blush, as you can see, it has quite a bit of a glow to it, but I feel like it looks more intense on my finger right now than it does on my face. It doesn't emphasize stuff. It doesn't look too shimmery. It gives my face a nice glow, and I feel like this is going to be such a pretty blush for the summer. Okay, another nail polish. Should have mentioned that with the top coat. This is the Jewel Up nail polish in the shade Carla. I feel like this has been the polish shade I have been looking for. I wanted that light, almost white kind of pinky shade. And I feel like a lot of the classics like OPI Bubble Bath and that one SE1 Bride something, those ones always look too pink and a little bit dark on my hands, on my skin tone. And so this one is actually light enough to where it looks just like a really pretty milky kind of light pink, a little bit of lavender in there. So I love the shade, works really well with that top coat, and Jewel Up polish just always lasts on my nails really well too. So you guys know my self tanner days are pretty much over. They have been for a few years, but when the sun starts coming out and you just want a little bit of color, I've been using this on my legs because my legs are actually lighter than the rest of my body. And this is just a super natural, super gradual tanner. This is the Tanlux, the Gradual Illuminating Gradual Tan Lotion. I don't find this to be illuminating at all, but it's basically a super liquidy, I think you guys can see it in there, super liquidy lotion. Like it kind of pours out into your hands, so you have to be careful not to get too much. But the thing I like about this is that a lot of things, it doesn't transfer, it doesn't smell horrible, it's pretty impossible to streak, and you just apply it like a lotion, so you don't need to really worry about anything that you typically do with tanners. It's not gonna like transfer to your clothes, it doesn't have a color guard or anything. You can put on clothes literally about 5 or 10 minutes after putting this on. It dries super quick and just kind of absorbs into your skin, which is why I think it's so watery. It really doesn't feel like a thick kind of goopy lotion at all. It just really absorbs, dries down, and then you wake up, or you can put it on in the morning and like wear it throughout the day, and you have a little bit of color to your body. It doesn't fade weird. It doesn't get like patchy when it fades. You don't need to scrub anything off. It just literally fades away. So I just feel like if you're looking for a super low maintenance, mess-free, gradual tanner, this one is great. You can get this on Sephora, by the way. So I recently did a video on my top powders to set foundation, and this one has definitely been a huge favorite the past, I don't even know, a few months now. And this is the Sephora Micro Smooth Powder in the shade Light 05. This is like if you want an easy, natural looking powder that gives you a little bit of coverage, doesn't take away the coverage when you set the rest of your foundation, has the most beautiful satin finish, doesn't look powdery. This is great. It just looks very lightweight on the skin. I like using my usual For Less CB4 brush to apply this, and it just works with any foundation I've tried it with. It doesn't make my dry skin look too powdery, which is the thing. So I've been feeling this powder a lot. All right, so last fave of the month is actually a powder that I discovered in the Wish app video. This is the Made Sheer Press Powder. I've talked about this quite a bit recently. It's what I've been using to set my under eyes. I've clearly hit pan on it. I mix this in with my darker Physicians Formula powder. I'll link it down below too, but that's what I have on right now to set my under eyes. And if you have fair skin and need an under eye setting powder, look no further. I do like this better than the Stargazer white powder I used to use because it is so much softer. This is like a buttery soft powder. It does have a white, almost like yellow tint to it, so this isn't for all skin tones for sure, and you might need to mix it if you're around my skin tone. If you're fairer than me and you've had major struggles finding either an all over face powder or an under eye setting powder, this one is so beautiful. I want to say it was a couple bucks on the Wish app. I know people have a lot of opinions on the Wish app, so just buy at your own discretion like with anything else, but I feel like it wouldn't make sense to not mention this because I've literally been using it every single day and it's been working really well for me for my under eyes. Okay, let's move on to the rejects bin here. I've got a lot of rejects, folks. Okay, let's just start with this because it's right on top. So if you're into like the Korean skincare world at all, this is a product that's really liked. Overall, it seems like this is the Face Shop Rice Water Bright Light Cleansing Oil. So essentially it's just an oil kind of makeup remover cleanser, and it does take off my makeup. I hate the film that this leaves on afterwards, and the scent is the big no for me with this one. It is so heavily scented. Ooh, that just squirted out on my shirt. Is that gonna stain it? I don't know. It seriously smells like a perfume. Like a straight up perfume. It is so heavily scented, which kind of shocked me because I'm surprised I wasn't reading more reviews about the scent, because to me it's like not something that I want to put on my face. Fragrance can really irritate your skin, and this is like whoa, it's gonna knock you out strong. Next up is the Urban Decay Back Talk palette. Basically, you get a side with a couple kind of highlighters right here, maybe like a glowy blush, and then you get a couple blushes, and then on this other side, you have eyeshadows here. This packaging is so freaking obnoxious. So what happens is you open it, and if you open it right, the mirror stays right there, but what usually ends up happening is the mirror falls out, dings your products, this mirror comes completely out, and the more frustrating thing is that if you don't want the mirror in there and you don't want it dinging all of your products, you can't close this thing. There's no magnetic closure right here. There's obviously the gap where the mirror is supposed to be. I feel like just the whole design of this product is pretty shitty. Interesting idea, but not very practical. I hate that you have to worry about it dinging your shadows, and that if you don't want the mirror in there, you can't close it. And then the actual eyeshadows in here are just not Urban Decay's best formula. I don't know what happened with this formula, but it's definitely different. And I actually find the blush shades are easier to work with for eyeshadows than the actual eyeshadows. So overall, this is a no. So next up is a powder that I tried in a drugstore try-on haul video. This is the NYX Holographic Halo Finishing Powder. Now, this would be one thing if this was a face highlight, but this is literally a purple blue highlight marketed as a finishing face powder. I do not understand it. I think the only situation that this would work as a face powder is if you were doing like Halloween makeup and you were trying to be a mermaid or an alien or something. I'm all into glowy face powders, just not when they turn your face blue purple. I have a lot of face powders here actually, and these aren't all of the face powders I've been trying. These are just the ones that in my opinion were like extra worthy of being shitty and in this pile. So this one is the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. I know a lot of people like this powder. I was stoked to try this for my dry skin. Hyaluronic acid is typically really good for dry skin, but this, I feel like, made my skin look so dry, just chalky, overall not good. And this is obviously just a little sample travel kind of size, and I'm really glad I got the size. It doesn't feel hydrating to me at all, and it just made me look like gross and chalky and dry. Another powder here. So this is the Lancome Absolute powder that cost me a friggin' arm and a leg. This is in the shade Absolute Pesh. So I purchased this because if you guys messaged me saying that Jaclyn Hill used this in her kind of glowy foundation routine video, and you guys know I love my glowy powders. I love any kind of illuminating setting powder. That's like the best of both worlds for me because you get to set your foundation, but it still gives you that glow. So I went and watched her video and then I purchased this. Jaclyn's skin looked beautiful, nothing against her or her video or anything. Just this product for my skin looked absolutely horrendous. It was so glowy to the point where it literally looked like I did that highlighter challenge where I just put highlighter all over my face. This is a glowy powder. I use this as an all over kind of setting powder. I've tried it with fluffier brushes. I've tried it with my usual denser face powder brushes. I've tried it just on the high points of my face. It just looks, it looks rough on my skin. And this is just a prime example of how different products can work differently for people. And this is not a cheap powder. I think this was around $60, maybe like $62. So I definitely will be returning this. Okay, still have more face powders in here, but let's give that a break for a second and talk about an eyeshadow palette. I've been trying this for months now. I want to say like maybe how long? 3 months? 2 months? Trying to make it work. I've been trying to make it work because this palette is so hyped up. Viseart as a brand, their eyeshadow palettes are so hyped up. My whole Viseart journey started out with the Petite Pro Mini palette. Honestly, feels and looks like crap to me. This is plastic right here. These are pretty scratchy, pretty chalky, not super pigmented. And I said that in another video and some of you guys were like, you gotta check out their normal palettes. The mini palettes aren't as good as their normal palettes. So that's why I purchased this thing. This is the Neutral Matte palette. I actually got this off of Glambot, so I did not have to pay full price for this thing, thank God. The tones in here I was stoked about because I love cool tone matte shades. I've been really into them lately. I feel like they just really make green eyes pop, especially shades like this. I've tried to like it. I want to like it. I don't like it at all. So I went on Twitter to see what you guys thought of this palette, those of you who have used it, and I am so glad I'm not alone here. I was actually shocked how many people also didn't like this palette. But consensus is that a shit ton of you guys also don't like the formula of these. So what I don't like about this, let's actually talk about the palette, now that I've just shat on it a ton, is that they're not soft. They feel so dry to me. They feel so dry and chalky, and they look way better on finger swatches right now than they do on the eyes. I just feel like I have to work with these so much more than some of my other shadows. This is a pricey palette. This palette is $80. There is no way in hell I think this is worth $80. I'm getting heated right now. I honestly would not pay $10 for this palette. I would rather pay $80 for this Milani palette than I would the Viseart palette. Don't think it's worth your money. I'm underwhelmed. I don't love how my shadow looks, and I feel like I just have to work so much harder for it to look good. Yeah, no. You guys saw me rant about these in one of the days of 15 Days of Foundation, but these are the Ardell Magnetic Lashes. I have the normal ones here, which obviously I haven't used this pair. I've tried the accent ones, and then I also tried double demi wispies. Cool concept, cool concept. Lash glue irritates me, so I was actually really stoked to try these. So I've tried to apply these multiple times now, and I definitely feel like it gets easier the more you apply them, but I still don't like these at all. So basically they have a top and a bottom. You kind of stick whichever one you want to do first. I think it's easier to put the top on, so you just kind of let it chill there, which is also really hard because it has to stay in the place that you want it at the same time that you're holding it and then trying to match up these magnets between your natural lashes. So once you actually get them on 25 minutes later, they just look ridiculous. They didn't fade these out enough, so it just looks like it's like no lashes and then lash. It just doesn't look right. And then the other thing I don't like about these is that there's obviously actual magnets on here, so they feel quite heavy to me on my eyes, which I actually find to be more irritating, the weight of it, than just wearing lash glue with like lighter lashes. I feel like every time you blink, it's just like you're lifting 10 pounds. Your eyes are like doing Jillian Michaels. I definitely wouldn't say these are for beginners. I don't think they're any easier, any more comfortable. I would just stick with normal lashes. So another face powder, I've had this one in my collection for a while now. This is the NARS All Day Luminous Powder Foundation in the shade Siberia. So since I've had dry skin, I was really excited to try this out again because the sound of it, All Day Luminous, sounds great. This powder to me does not look luminous in the slightest. It also is supposed to be a powder foundation and it has barely any tint to it. When you blend it out, it's pretty sheer on the skin, so I wouldn't really call it a powder foundation. If anything, it's like a very sheer light coverage powder foundation. It doesn't look smooth at all, and it definitely doesn't look luminous, so I would just pass on this powder if you've been curious about it. This is a MAC sponge, which looks a little questionable, but you have this round side, you have this pointy side. This sponge was pretty shitty. It's too kind of porous. You can actually see the pores in the sponge where it just soaks up everything, does not blend out your foundation well at all. I tried this side for concealer because the point, I was like, oh, that could be nice for concealer. Just soaks everything up. It almost gives you like the sponge texture on your face. So this MAC sponge is a no for sure. Wow, I really have a lot of powders in here. So next powder is the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh powder. I did a whole video on this powder where I wore it for the full day. The big thing I don't like about this is just how much it darkens. It darkens. I did try this after that video with a sponge, kind of like pressing it in. Same thing happened. It does not look good on my skin. I really like the chilling sensation, so that's cool, how cold it feels. If you want to know my full thoughts on it, check out that video. A lot of people really like this powder, so just keep that in mind. And my last reject of the last couple months is the Essence Luminous Matte Bronzing Powder. It says lighter skin on here. So for bronzer for lighter skin, this is orange. It looks a lot better in the pan. When it's on the face, it looks straight up orange. I don't know why it's so hard for brands to not make orange bronzers, especially when it's marketed for lighter skin like this one is. We don't need the orange. All right, so those were all of my raves and rejects for the past couple months. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below what your favorite and least favorite products were down below. If you've tried any of the things that I've mentioned, let me know what you thought of them too. Just because a product was a reject for me, it could very well be a rave for you. I feel like I have a crap ton of random like lifestyle kind of favorites, things I found on Amazon recently. So let me know if you guys would want a separate video on kind of my top Amazon products or just things I use that aren't makeup and beauty related. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.